Later on, after the 10 o'clock news, we'll have some folks here from the Castle Museum. Talk about what's going on there. They had to close yesterday because of the smoke. And we'll have open phones during Trade Line at 11 o'clock this morning. And we'll introduce you to our guest here in just a moment. But just to bring you up to date on the smoke alert, we're under hazardous conditions. And our current air quality number is very high. It's higher than it was yesterday. It's 374. 300 is the breaking point between hazardous and one step down from hazardous. So we're at 374. So use caution when you go outside, breathing and all of that good stuff. And this morning we're going to talk about something else health-wise, and that's our eyes. And with us to talk about it is a guy I've known for a long time and been with us in the past. He is an ophthalmologist, which, by the way, is a medical doctor in the eye world. And we say good morning to Dr. David Krebs. Dave, good morning to you.
Good morning, Art.
Good to see you. Good to see you as always. Let's so everybody understands, because there's so many titles out there: ophthalmologist, optometrist, optician. What's the difference? Explain to everybody what these medical terms are.
So ophthalmologists are medical doctors. We go to medical school for 4 years, and then we do an internship and an ophthalmology residency, which is 4 years. And
Takes you 8 years to
years.
to go out in the private world?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
4 years of medical school, 1 year internship, 3 year residency, and often a fellowship after that. So 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
So optometrists, by contrast, go to optometry school, which is 4 years, and then they either go into practice, or sometimes they do a 1 year internship and then they practice. So they don't go to medical school, they go to optometry school.
And they do, where you are a medical doctor and you can do surgeries and all of that, optometrists are examiners.
Correct. They don't do cataract surgery, LASIK surgery. They do mostly glasses and contact lenses.
And opticians?
Opticians make the glasses. They fit you for glasses, make the glasses, adjust the glasses, things like that.
Wow. So you got to know who you need, right?
Right.
All right. So I want to start with something that every time you're on, we talk about it. There is macular degeneration. And first of all, explain what macular degeneration is before we get into some of the nitty-gritty.
So the macula is the back of the eye. It's the center of the retina, and it's where all the light is focused. The light gets focused on the macula. So there are two types. There's the dry type and the wet type. In the dry type, basically the photoreceptors just gradually die, and there's not a lot you can do about that, although there are some treatments that we're doing now. There's some drugs called Syfovre and Izervay, which you may see on TV. They have commercials for that can slow the progression. They don't cure the disease, but they slow the progression of the disease.
That's the dry.
That's the dry.
Now the wet?
And the wet, in the wet type, also called neovascular AMD, you have blood vessels that grow under the retina, and they bleed and they scar, and they cause fibrosis. So people, if you don't treat that, and we have a lot of good treatments for that, if you don't treat that, people end up with a big scar in their central vision. So they still have their peripheral vision, but the central vision is responsible for, signing your name and reading, and so you don't want to lose your central vision.
And that macular degeneration is the most destructive of the two then, correct?
Wet macular Wet is worse than dry, but dry can be pretty advanced too.
Oh, it can.
Dry can be very advanced. Yeah, there's a type of dry called geographic atrophy where you can...
we've seen the commercials for that.
Yeah, GA. You can be as bad with GA as you can with wet AMD.
Oh, wow.
As bad.
Wow. How do you detect it?
You go see your ophthalmologist, and we dilate you, and we do a good dilated exam, and we have some tests that can help us called OCT. We do an OCT, and it can tell if it's wet or dry, things like that.
And when you do your exams and I'm dilated and I'm sitting in your chair and you're looking and you're calling out numbers, what are you talking about? What do you see in my eye?
Well, we're looking at the cupping. We're checking you for glaucoma. Those numbers 0.3, 0.4. We're looking at your optic nerve, the cupping of your optic nerve. But we're also looking at your macula and your blood vessels, and we're looking for all kinds of things.
All of which can be spotted
in your eye.
In that exam.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
That's the purpose of a good, thorough exam with dilation. That's why we dilate people.
I often wondered why I had to get dilated. But that's it. What does the dilation do? Open up the pupil?
It opens up the pupil and lets us look at the retina, which is part of the brain. The retina is connected to the brain. So we can see if people have very, very narrow blood vessels, that's often a sign of high blood pressure. If people have certain kinds of hemorrhages, that's often a sign of diabetes. So you may have signs of high blood pressure or diabetes in your eye, which we can only tell by dilating you and looking.
Now, that doesn't mean if you have diabetes, you're going to have that in your eye, right?
Correct. You can have diabetes and have no retinopathy.
Here I am.
You have no retinopathy.
I like that. I like that. And, it has, for the years that you've been in it, Dave, has research kept up with the disease and finding new ways to treat eye problems?
It really has, yeah. There's been a tremendous amount of advances. So just for in the geographic atrophy type of dry AMD, we have 2 treatments. Whereas when I trained 30 years ago, we didn't have any treatments. If you had geographic atrophy, there was nothing we could do. Now we have these drugs. Now the drugs for dry AMD don't make you see better, but they slow the progression of the disease. So if one eye is very advanced and the other eye is only mildly advanced, we can treat the mildly advanced disease and hopefully it doesn't get bad like the other eye.
So your eyes don't necessarily follow each other in terms of disease?
Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're asymmetric. One eye may be a lot worse than the other.
Vision that way too, just for regular vision exam and glasses?
Yes.
You have difference in lenses and all that
Yep,
stuff.
yep.
And for those of you at home, if you have any questions about your eyes, give us a call, 989-752-6111. Chat with Dr. David Krebs about your eyes. One of the things that I noticed didn't happen this last time when I was in for an exam, it used to be you took a picture of the back of the eye. You can look at it now and not have to do that? When you do your exam, you see the same thing?
Yeah, if you have a normal exam, there
Right,
might not be anything to take a picture of.
Okay.
Except, normal. We don't really take a picture of normal unless we want to document it for the future. But if it's normal,
That's where your optic technician did the initial exam.
Right. Ophthalmic
If
technician,
she
yes.
didn't spot anything, we move right on to you.
Right, correct. If you're complaining of, say, loss of central vision, we would want to get an OCT to see if you have macular degeneration.
Yeah. All right. Hang on. We're going to take a break, and we come back. We might have a call waiting for you after these notes.
Gotta go.
And we're back with you in studio with me, Dr. David Krebs, our ophthalmologist. And let's talk to Carol in Sheridan. Carol, good morning. You're on with, whoops, just a minute, Carol. There we go. Carol is with us in Sheridan, on with Dr. Krebs this morning. Carol, good morning.
Yes, and I wonder if you would discuss the urgency of a detached retina.
Yeah.
If it's let go, we had some very close relation that let it go for a couple days, and he spent 3 hours at U of M trying to get it so that maybe he can see, and it was his good eye, and his other eye isn't very good.
Wow.
But
Well, let's see.
he should have went to the
All right,
ER
well,
or something right
yeah.
away. But
All right, Carol,
you know,
let's get Dave to give you an
Okay.
answer on it.
So if you have a detached retina, people will notice like a curtain coming down over their vision. They'll get like a sudden painless loss of vision. And the quicker you see your ophthalmologist, the better, because you want to fix it before the macula detaches. The macula is the center of the retina, and once the macula comes off, people sometimes don't get back perfect vision. So when the macula is on, the point is you want to fix retinal detachments as quickly as possible, but especially if the macula is on, you got to fix that right away.
How do you fix it?
Retina specialists, there are different techniques. One is called a vitrectomy, one is called a scleral buckle, but there are retina specialists who that's what they do. I'm a cornea specialist, I'm not a retina specialist. So I send you to a retina specialist to fix those.
But they're
But
fixable.
it's very, very urgent. I mean, he should have went right.
Very urgent.
Everybody should know about that. If something like that's going on, to run, don't walk, and get
Right.
help quick.
If you lose vision in one eye, you go seek attention right away. Yes.
Okay,
All
well,
right.
sometimes you don't hear enough about it, I don't
Well,
think.
that's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you
Good,
much,
Carol.
sir.
Thanks. Take
Yeah,
care. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
I guess that's true of anything with your eyes, right? I mean, if you see a change in your eyes, you need to see somebody.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
The quicker the better.
Yep. Like anything else, right?
It's the cure is limited as to how long we have before you can actually get it, right?
Right. So, like in the case of a retinal detachment, if you get it before if the macula's on, you want to fix it right away because they still have good vision and they'll keep their good vision. Once the macula comes off, the vision will go down, and sometimes it comes back, but sometimes it doesn't come back to like it was before.
So if the macula comes off, you can't reattach it?
They can.
They
Yes,
can,
they can.
but
it's been deprived of oxygen and blood flow for a
Ah.
while. So you can reattach it, but if it's been off for a while, you don't get normal vision back.
All right. I want to move on to probably one of the most common surgeries in the world. And you know what it is.
Cataract surgery.
Yes. So let's start with, and in full revelation here, folks, I've gone to Dave Krebs for a long time as my ophthalmologist. And for years, even though I had cataracts forming, for years you said, nope, you're not ready. Nope, you're not ready. When are you ready to have
that's a good
cataract
question.
surgery?
So if your vision is good and you can still see to do everything you need to do, we recommend waiting because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you can still see to read and drive and watch TV and do what you need to do, we leave it alone. Because there's always the risk with any surgery of a complication. But if you can't see to do what you need to do, if you're having a hard time with your daily activities, that's when we would recommend fixing them. And the success rate's over 99% successful. So.
Yeah, it's common. It's really one of the most common surgeries, isn't
Yep, I
it?
think it is the most common surgery in the country.
And doesn't take very long.
No, about 5 to 10 minutes.
The thing that surprised me the most about it was the fact that even though you've been sedated, you're awake.
You're awake and talking to us. Yep.
I just couldn't believe it.
Well, we give you some medicine to relax you, and then we numb your eye with eye drops so you don't feel anything, and we're talking to you.
Yeah, like don't look down, don't do this, don't do that.
Right. Right.
I remember it so clearly, and
That
the
was,
other thing
you got a good memory. That was years ago.
it was. The other thing too is if you have cataracts in one eye, chances are you're going to have it in both,
Correct. That is true.
and you don't do them together.
We always
2
wait
weeks
at
apart.
least 2 weeks apart because the complication we worry about is an infection, which is very uncommon. It's about 1 in 1,000. But if we operated in both eyes and you happen to get an infection in both eyes at the same time, that would be terrible. So we
Yeah.
do one eye, make sure everything is good, and then 2 weeks later, we do the other eye.
And they don't take very long. But the other thing that surprised me to some degree was that there is a choice of lenses that can be put in. Now, I just got the bottom line basic lens.
Which is
was
a great
great.
lens. Which is a great
It
lens.
was great. It
which
was
is
phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
I could do things that I couldn't do before. Read without glasses.
Yep.
And that, that was just, I all of a sudden got back 20/20 vision.
Mhm.
But what are the different types of lenses and why are the differences?
So the standard lens is called the monofocal lens. It focuses well for distance, but it's not great for intermediate or near. Then we have a lens called we have astigmatism correcting lenses called toric lenses. You didn't have a lot of astigmatism, so you didn't need this type of lens. But if you had a lot of astigmatism,
Which is what?
which
Explain
is when your eye is not. Some people's eyes are round like a basketball. Some people's eyes are shaped like a football. So if you have astigmatism, your eye is shaped like a football, and if we put in a standard lens like you have, you would need glasses again for both distance and near. Whereas if you have an astigmatism correcting lens, you'll see good for distance without glasses.
All right. And the others? I mean, can you get different lenses for different eyes?
Yep, you can. We also have lenses that correct near vision. It's something called the panoptics, which is distance, intermediate, and near. So we can actually get you out of glasses for everything with a special lens.
Wow.
So it's pretty incredible time to be alive. Actually.
Is that recent technology or has that been around a while?
So the multifocal lenses have been around for about 20, 25
Oh,
years,
wow.
but they like anything else, just like phones get better every year and TVs get better. technology in the lenses get better.
Is that true of contacts also?
Yep. Contacts get better every year too. Yep.
How long can you leave them in?
That's a good question. So there's one brand. I always recommend taking contact lenses out at night when you go to bed so your corneas could breathe. But there is one brand that the FDA says you can leave in for up to 30 days. But no ophthalmologist would ever recommend you keep a contact in for 30 days because the risk of infection is quite high. So I tell people take them out at night, always.
All right, let's talk to Marjorie in Saginaw. Marjorie, good morning. You're on with Dr. David Krebs.
Good morning.
Morning.
My question has to do with ocular migraines. What brings them on?
So that's a good question. So we're not sure, but with an ocular migraine, we think it's due to vasospasm of the blood vessels. So people get like shimmering lights. They can get loss of vision, temporary loss of vision. People get like jagged, zigzaggy lines in their vision. You can actually have migraines where you can't move your eyes, where they're frozen, called ophthalmoplegic migraines. Migraines is a very broad spectrum of you can have migraines with or without an aura. Like an aura is when you kind of feel it coming on. You can have migraines with an aura, migraines without an aura. You can have migraines with pain. You can have migraines without pain, called acephalgic migraines. And I think you're talking about ocular migraines, where it just affects the eyes and not the head, not headaches. Is that right?
Correct.
So we certain things like aged cheeses and things that contain something called tyramine can precipitate a migraine.
Food can precipitate a migraine. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Aged cheeses, wines, sometimes wines.
Oh, well, thank you. That I never knew. At one point, I understood that it could even do with, well, I guess you hinted at this, blood circulation, maybe a precursor to a stroke.
Well, with migraines, it's not. It's temporary. You get vasospasm of the blood vessels, so they go into spasm, but then they open up again. They close and then they open up. So it doesn't really lead to a stroke.
Oh, thank you, because I do get them. And lately I have been getting them a little more often, and I have talked to my optometrist about it, but I was not aware of food affecting, so thank you. That's a big help.
Sure, you're welcome.
All right. Have a good day, Marjorie.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
So I've, once, twice, I've had that where you get these shimmering. Usually it's in one side of the eye. It's not in the middle. I get it on the sides or something like that. It maybe lasts a few minutes, if that. Is that what that is?
Possibly.
Or are there
possibly.
There's other things.
There are other things that can cause that too. Other things.
Like what?
Well, sometimes when you have a lens implanted for the first time, people get what's called the dysphotopsia. They kind of will describe it as like a little shimmering, like the people will say there's like a little picture frame around their vision. And we think it's due to the reflection of the light off maybe the edge of the lens or the material that the lens is made out of, which is usually a plastic. So that's called dysphotopsias.
Lovely.
So.
I'll remember
but
that.
you've had yours for a while. You should probably don't have those anymore.
No, I haven't had it in a long time. But every now and then I'll get, that little shimmering. And it always seems to be in the lower left of my vision. So
It could be an ocular migraine.
Could be.
Could be.
But I don't eat aged cheese. So we're going to take a break. If you have any questions about your eyes, call and chat with Dr. David Krebs, an optometrist with Envision. That is the name of his practice. And we'll have more for you. Let me take a moment to talk about potholes and what it can do to your car, because potholes can disturb your alignment. And if your alignment is out of whack, your driving and the wear and tear on your parts and tires can be severe. As a matter of fact, our friends at Quick Lane Freeland are so concerned about it, they're offering you a complimentary alignment check. I had that done yesterday. I'll tell you about it, but first, let's listen to our buddy John at Quick Lane Freeland to tell you about what the alignment means to your car.
If your vehicle's wheels are aligned correctly, it will not pull to the left or to the right when driving. It also prevents improper tread wear, so your tires last longer. A wheel alignment should be checked often because normal steering wear and tear can cause your alignment to go out in addition to potholes and railroad crossings. A correct alignment also reduces rolling resistance on your tires for better fuel mileage.
And, of course, better safety. And yesterday I was in Quick Lane to get my oil change and service. So while I was there, I asked them to do the alignment check, which they did. Fortunately for me, everything was perfect. They will put it up on a rack. They put these attachments on your wheels, and then they have this big laser machine that reads all those attachments, and they turn the wheels, and they do all kinds of things to check your alignment. And when you're done, you get a printout, and it tells you exactly about your caster and camber and toe in and all that good stuff. And if everything is fine, everything is in the green, you're good to go, and it costs you nothing. It all happens at Quick Lane Freeland on the McDonald Ford property. Don't forget also they sell all their tires at just $5 over cost. Quick Lane Freeland and McDonald Ford. Stop in and visit them today.
Campaign season is funny.
All right, we're back with you with Dr. David Krebs in studio, our ophthalmologist from Envision. And Greg is in Saginaw. Greg, you're on with Dr. Krebs. Good morning.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
I had cataract surgery in one eye last August, and they made an appointment, I guess a week later, I think it was, and they wanted to do the other eye, and I could barely see out of the first eye, but they kept giving me the paper, and then I had another visit in a month and one in 2 months or whatever, and I told them I'm not doing the second eye until my first eye is good, which took probably to the total time allowed, I think it's about 3 months. So I was just wondering, normally you would wait till the second eye is better before you even thought about doing the other eye, right?
Yep, absolutely. So you probably had some inflammation somewhere. You could have had inflammation in the cornea. You could have had inflammation of the retina called cystoid macular edema. So you do one eye and we don't do the second eye until you're all better with the first eye. Usually it's a week or two, you should be fine. But if you have a complication or you're a slow healer or you have more inflammation than normal, it may take 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. But you definitely don't want to do the second eye until the first eye is all done.
Right. That's why I didn't sign the paper. Also, you mentioned infection. Is that from the surgery or something internal in the eye, or what is that about?
Well, so when we do cataract surgery, a cataract is when the lens in the eye gets cloudy. So we go into your eye with machines we break up the cataract into little pieces and we suck it out with a phaco machine. And we put a new lens in the eye. So anytime you go in and out of the eye, bacteria always get in the eye. And 99.9% of the time, there are very few bacteria, and your body's immune system fights it off. But in rare occasions, if you have a weak immune system, if you're immunocompromised for some reason, then those bacteria can take hold and cause an infection. So it doesn't happen often, but it happens about 1 in every 1,000 cataracts.
Sounds like you were the lucky one.
I was lucky. He did say it was hard to get that they use a vibrating instrument to. You said break up the
a phaco machine. Yeah, we use ultrasound to break up the cataract. So you may have had more inflammation than normal. Is your eye doing better now?
It was just hard to do. I had to turn the machine up quite a ways.
Yeah. Is your eye better now?
Oh yeah, it's better, but it's different than my other eye. I'm not doing the other one until I really need it. But thank you.
Sure.
Thanks for calling, Greg. Appreciate it. Thanks. Everybody's different, aren't they?
Everybody's different. Yeah, it sounds like that last caller had a very big cataract. He said they had to turn the machine up, so he probably had a very dense cataract, which required more energy, and that could have caused some swelling of the cornea.
Does that come from waiting too long to have it done, or?
Yeah, it can. Or if the cataract gets very dense, the denser the cataract, the more energy we have to use to break it up. So yes.
All right, let's talk to Bill in Caro. Bill, you're on with Dr. Krebs. Good morning.
Good morning, Art. I've had glaucoma. I'm 84. I've had glaucoma since I was probably 30 years old. Never had any problems. Took the medicine all the time. Here about 5 years ago, I went in for a regular exam, and for some reason, my pressure increased almost to 38, I think it was. And I went down to Detroit, had a laser surgery done to open up that so that it would drain better. Got that under control, but in the meantime, the optic nerve was damaged. Is there any hope of optic nerve being renewed at all? It's not, I mean, I have vision around the outside, but the center is pretty well gone. But in the last few years, it's changed from a black spot to a white spot. That made me, I asked my doctor, does that mean that there's still some life in that nerve? So that's my question.
So that's a good question. So the answer is this: glaucoma is a disease where there's high pressure in the eye, and the high pressure damages the optic nerve. So the optic nerve is part of the brain. So just like we can't do a brain transplant or a spinal cord transplant, we can't do an optic nerve transplant. So things that don't think, like a kidney transplant or a lung transplant or a liver transplant, they're not connected to the brain. So if your lungs go bad, we can do a lung transplant, or a kidney transplant, we can do that. But we can't do an optic nerve transplant because it's connected to the brain. So we are doing things to try to slow the progression of that disease. But until that's where stem cell, if you hear about stem cell treatments, stem cells, that's designed to promote healing of the optic nerve. But it's going to be a long way away.
Okay. I would say thanks, but
we hear you.
I wish I could be more helpful, but that's why you've been on drops for all those years, because pressure 38 is too high. That pressure will do damage to your optic nerve.
Yep. But it's amazing that I was taking my drops. I never had any problems. I had corrected. I had 20/20 vision, and then for some reason it spiked.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Is that just in one eye?
Both of them are messed up.
Okay.
I can't drive now, and I can't. I can get around. That's about it. I'm legally blind.
All right. Well, good luck with it. Sorry about
Thank
that,
you.
Bill.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye now. All right, we'll take a break. Come back with Dr. David Krebs, our ophthalmologist from Envision.
Got a home repair problem? Don't get mad.
And we're back with you here on the Art Lewis Show, talking to Dr. David Krebs, our ophthalmologist from Saginaw. He's got the practice called Envision. I want to go back to cataracts just for a minute, because I remember well, as I mentioned, over the years, you said, no, you're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. You'll know when you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, you were so right, because we went to Pennsylvania to visit my late wife's relatives, and on the way there, I was like, I'm driving in a fog. I was having trouble reading signs. I can remember at one point asking Linda, read that sign to me as I went by. And I came to realize this must be the moment you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Blacks weren't black anymore. They were gray.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, if you look outside right now, there's that haze from the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my cataracts were like, only worse.
Yep.
And you were right. You know when you're going to need it, don't you?
Everybody knows. Yep. When you can't do what you need to do, so it affected your driving. So if you can't drive safely, it's time to have your cataracts taken out.
Yeah, it was obvious, quite obvious.
Yep.
A couple of other things I want to ask about. Macular degeneration, going back to that again. When my late wife was with us, she had it. She had the wet,
Mm-hmm.
a mild version of it, but you gave her injections in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Correct. So she had wet macular degeneration. So in her case, she had blood vessels growing up under the retina, and they were bleeding. So we treat them. We have a whole bunch of drugs, but basically they're called anti-VEGF treatment. So VEGF is something called vascular endothelial growth factor, and blood vessels grow, and we want those vessels to shrivel up and go away. So we inject a drug called Avastin, And if that doesn't work, we have other drugs, Eylea HD, Vabysmo, these drugs that make these vessels shrivel up and die without damaging the overlying retina. So anti-VEGF treatment. That's what she was getting.
And, just the thought of somebody sticking a needle in my eye.
So that's even easier than cataract surgery. We do this in the office. There's no anesthesia. We numb your eye with eye drops so you don't feel it. And we just stick a tiny little needle, 30 gauge, teeny, tiny. And people don't even feel it.
Yeah.
Yes, I think ripping off a Band-Aid is more painful than the shot in your eye. Ripping off a Band-Aid, it hurts more.
Okay, if you say so. Other question I have, there's a whole plethora of over-the-counter eye supplements, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of them work? Do they do any good?
Well, it depends. So macular degeneration, there is a vitamin called Preservision AREDS 2, and if you take that vitamin, it's been shown to slow the progression of the disease. So if you have dry macular degeneration, we tell people take Preservision AREDS 2. So that one has been scientifically shown to slow the progression of the disease. Other things, not so much.
What about the old thing about eat carrots for your eyes? Does it work? Does it do anything?
Probably doesn't hurt. There's beta carotene in carrots, and there's some vitamins in there. If you eat a healthy meal, if you eat healthy, you probably don't need to eat carrots.
Be part of it, but you don't have to go out of your way for it. Then,
right. I would tell you to eat healthy, yeah.
All right, let's take our last caller. Is going to be Brenda in Saginaw. Brenda, you're on with Dr. Krebs. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I just had a question about the floaters. What are they? Can they ever be removed?
Oh, that's a good question. So every day we see somebody with floaters. So floaters, there are different types of floaters, but what happens commonly when people turn 65, thereabout, the eyeball is filled with a gel called vitreous. And when we're young, that gel is thick like Jell-O. And as we age, that gel becomes more liquidy like water. And usually about age 65, it's so liquidy that it can't support itself, and it separates from the retina in the back of the eye. And then people sometimes get flashing lights, and that floater they see is the back of the gel that's separated from the retina. And actually 85% of the time it's just a normal thing that happens, but about 15% of the time, because the gel is pulling on the retina, it could cause a torn retina. And if you have a torn retina, it's got to be treated because it can lead to a detached retina. So when you first if you get a bunch of new floaters, you should see an ophthalmologist.
Right. Well, when I go in, they say, gravity, they should go down, but yours hasn't yet. And it's been like 20 years that I've had mine. Maybe not that much. Maybe about 10. About 10 years. I was about 50 years old, and I thought it was a spider web. I was actually up camping, and I came out of the shower, and I was walking out to our campsite, and I thought it was a spider web or some debris from a tree. Well, little did I know. But then it finally settled in. It wasn't as bad, but it was scary when the first one came. Then the second one in the other eye, they said, well, maybe you will, maybe you won't get another one. I got one in the other eye, and it's about maybe 2 or 3 years later. But every time I go in and have my eyes checked, they're like, gravity hasn't brought them down yet. But I really wish there was surgery, if there's a possibility.
Well,
I've heard different people say maybe you can have them removed.
Yeah, so what you're describing is, the medical name for it is a posterior vitreous detachment. Those sounds like the kind of floaters you're getting, PVD. So there is a surgery to remove them, but the floaters that you have are benign, okay? And to remove them, a retina specialist could do a vitrectomy and go into the eye and remove them, but there's a risk associated with that surgery. There's always the risk of loss of vision, where there's no risk. If you do nothing, there's no risk of anything bad happening. So most people don't recommend surgeries for that.
All right, Brenda, we got to run. We're out of time.
Yep. Have a good. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Oh, you bet.
Bye-bye.
Dave, as always, a pleasure, and we had a lot of calls today, so we have to do this again soon.
Thanks.
When you get a Friday off, because of a golf obligation, he happened to be available this morning. We'll keep after him and find other times to have him in. Dr. David Krebs. How do they find Envision?
I'm sorry, what?
How do they find Envision?
Practice is on Hampton Place in Saginaw, just behind Lowe's, and the phone number is 989-799-2020.
Great. Dave, thanks.
Thanks, Art. Thanks for having me.
Dr. David Krebs, our ophthalmologist, will be back to tell you what's ahead.
Hi, this is Jim.
Dental Lewis for the first hour of the Art Lewis Show. Our thanks to Dr. Krebs for being with us today. Coming up in the second hour, we're going to talk about the Castle Museum. Tom Trombley is with us this morning. It all follows the news from ABC and the local report with Michael Percher. We'll be back right after that.
Broadcasting from the